allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everyone. I have a motion to open up the town board meeting February 12th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The first item on the agenda is the initial discussion on the Amy's Water and Sewer Agreement. Everybody has a copy of it. It was put together not by our town attorney, but the outside counsel we hired to do this through Delaware Engineering. Everybody has had it, so any questions, any concerns, any changes that you want to put together and get to the attorney? I asked George to do that. We met for about an hour on Monday. But I'll open it up to any discussion from the board.
Yeah, the only question that I had was, as far as it says new board of district, but you and I had talked, and for some reason, they're not going to make a new water district. I guess the existing water district is still going to be the water district that we're signing up for. It's a very small district. So and supposedly there are going to be direct connections. Is that still?
That is exactly correct. I mean, the only difference is the Echo Lake sewer system is in a transportation corporation. As a municipality, we don't need to be in a transportation corporation. So we'll be assuming the assets, and the assets are basically the line to middle, the two lines to Middletown.
Just the lines, okay,
Yep.
good. And was there a price tag on this thing? I see there was a 10,000 cap or something.
Yeah, it was, I saw that there was a
Yeah,
cap.
did you? I didn't see the price negotiated in here. I
For-
might have
for-
missed it, I don't know.
For between us and Amy's?
Yeah,
Page
for picking
six.
up the assets.
Or is that indemnification, or is that the indemnification?
No, the asset purchase from Amy's is $1.5 million over time.
Right,
Through outside users,
That's
through
correct.
outside connections.
yeah, that was page.
Both
three,
outside
future
connections and
connection.
use. They
Right,
get it,
there's
they
no-
get
There's
it,
no outlay of money.
no outlay of money.
There's no taxpayer money, that's just, actually, the special district and outside users are gonna have to pay for the infrastructure.
That is correct.
Yeah, how we're gonna
Okay.
do that, I guess we just have to, figure out how we're gonna apportion that, I presume.
Yeah, I spoke to Mary Beth Bianconi today. She said, you know, essentially what we're looking at here is simply just an acquisition of an existing asset.
Right.
Everything else that pertains to how we're gonna pay for it, how we're gonna set that schedule up will all be developed over the course of the next couple of weeks. And then she'll
Okay.
come in and give a presentation to us on the best possible way for us to
Good,
fund this without using any town money.
right, okay, I'm good with it.
I just had a quick question, I wasn't sure. The red line version that we received, what was that from, the red line version?
There's, go ahead.
Yeah,
I mean,
go ahead.
I'd say, there's been multiple iterations over the course of, geez, almost 2 years now, but, I mean, that was just a draft that got chopped up. There was major
Okay.
sections, because originally, at the time, there was gonna be Middletown, Amy's, and us in one contract, and it was separate.
Okay, no, I just didn't know if
I
that
don't
was,
explain it to you.
it was just a reference, but this is the document.
The red line was to me and to Joe, who've been a part of the multiple drafts.
Okay.
Really didn't, it just got forwarded as
That's
that.
fine, I just didn't know if
Yeah.
we were supposed to do something with that.
No,
just got
I think it was a
confused,
little
so-
more confusing
Yeah.
receiving it than
Yeah.
not receiving.
Thank you.
And the maintenance and water main breaks and stuff like that, sewer main breaks, that's gonna be on us, that will be the whole line from here to Middletown?
That is correct. Yep.
Anywhere.
We own it.
Right, anywhere it breaks, then we have the right to go.
We have a
to that.
15-year warranty that's already kicked in, I think, a couple of years.
25-year warranty
Sorry,
on the
25.
HDPV pipe, and a relationship agreement that we have to put in place with the town of Wayweyond,
Yeah.
so that we can go and fix anything. It all runs basically along the
Right,
Heritage
but
Trail.
it was like a right of way.
Yeah.
Yep.
to get in there.
Was there a date that you wanted feedback by, like questions, further questions that we have on this document?
No, I mean, I'd like to get it closed within the next, 30 to 45 days, so, I
Okay.
mean, and don't, I would say, as I told George, to mark up what you wanna mark up, and then get it to Allison, our attorney, and then,
Okay.
rather than calling her on the phone,
Do
just
you-
get it to
saying, do you want us to forward the comments to you, Rory?
Just CC me on,
Or
whatever
send
goes to
directly to
Allison.
her? Okay.
Yep.
I'm kind of just
Does
translating
the
what I
board,
can.
does the board want to see any of the questions as well?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
I mean,
CC.
CC is on, yeah.
We'll all have questions,
Okay.
yeah.
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 George?
No, I'm doing a email to Allison probably tomorrow or Monday. And I don't see anything that's like totally substantive changes, but there's a lot of detail types of things that I just
Mhm.
wanted to go through with her because I didn't totally understand them. I guess the one thing that we still are doing is that Exhibit A. There's nothing in Exhibit A, but that has to be filled out whenever the
Correct.
equipment is that we're going to.
Correct.
That's correct.
Inherit.
Yep.
So who's doing that?
I've always been under the impression it's gonna be in the final
Yeah,
iteration.
so it'll come from Amy's Kitchen on what they have, the length of line, all the warranty stuff, everything they have from the manufacturer that installed it, and we'll have that, and that will be all part of Exhibit A.
So just so we understand, we have a special water district currently, and they're the only ones that, there is that special district. So if there is any maintenance or any upgrades or anything, it's gonna have to be charged to that special district.
Correct?
You know, just so. I
It's not,
just
it's
wanna
not
get it on
combining,
record
it's not
that-
combining with our existing water and sewer districts.
Right.
At this time, no, it's not.
You know, so whatever happens, they have to know that they're gonna be responsible.
Of course.
That's all, yeah.
Absolutely.
And I know there aren't many users, there's only 3 parcels, so it's gonna have to be split up between those parcels currently.
Correct. I mean, if
Yeah.
anything happens until all the other district users come in, yeah.
Right. Okay, I just wanna get it
Yep.
cleared up, so we all know.
Okay.
Agreed.
One more
Okay.
thing, just George, when you send the attorney that email, just if you could CC, just so we don't duplicate efforts and, you
Yeah.
know.
I'll do it to Rory and the board.
Thank you.
Okay.
All right, so we'll table this until, discussion until we get some more feedback from the attorney.
Yeah. So will she be coming down?
She will, they'll be coming
give us
down
a-
to, they'll be coming down to
Yeah.
give the presentation when
Good.
we're ready to sign. And this will have questions on, the Exhibit A, how they're going to fund the cost
Structure this thing, okay, good.
to Amy's, yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Next item on the agenda is a discussion on the extension of time frame from 18 months to 24 months with the site plan approval expiration after approval if no building permit is issued. So what we're running into right now is, right now, the planning board signs off on gives preliminary approval to a project. At that point, an applicant has 18 to 24 months to draw a building permit. The problem is our building department or our building inspector, the way he reads into it, he has to have a signed site survey. Our planning board can't sign that survey until all outside agencies have responded. What we're running into right now, the outside agencies are taking upwards of 36 months on some things to respond. And we're running into a situation where an applicant is running out of time and losing his approval on the planning board because they can't sign off on a site plan. So what I'm suggesting and what I'm asking to do and looking for input from the board is if we could just change the verbiage on this for the planning board to state that the time frame is 18 to 24 months for site plan approval expiration after approval. If no building permit has been issued, the commencement time for that, though, is after all outside agencies have responded.
So just, not to confuse, I would take your eyes off the presented introductory local law because initially it was an extension of the time frame and then a one-time additional extension. I was going off of the old law.
Right.
So this is the potential proposed new
Right,
way of
because,
doing it.
because we're still in a situation where if we only take this from 18 to 24 to 36, there's still an outside chance that DEC or somebody hasn't responded, therefore, the planning board chair can't sign off on their.
I don't disagree. I just meant, I didn't want
Yeah.
to confuse everybody with that version. Just know that it's got to be done by local law. We're changing the code.
Right, but
Yeah.
they can't be open-ended.
It's not open-ended, that's what I'm saying, it begins 24 months, the same thing, but we're waiting for all outside agencies to respond. It's not a fault of the applicant if the DEC takes 48 months. We need the DEC to respond, and I'm not saying the DEC is it, I'm just using them as an,
No, I understand, but
a
what
reason.
I'm saying is they can't be open-ended if they take 4 or 5 years,
It's not their fault, it's the outside agency's fault.
right, but I don't wanna set a precedent of being able to extend these things
Can-
for years, because everyone can kinda piggyback on that, and then we'll really be bottlenecked up, so.
Yeah, I think, all we're looking to do here is say the clock doesn't begin till all outside agencies respond.
But what
That-
I'm saying is that could be forever. If they don't respond.
I think it's a due diligence issue, as long as you're doing everything, you're operating in good faith to meet the standards of the outside agencies. Should you lose site plan approval because DEC is holding you up?
No, but my thought is you can't be open-ended, because agencies.
Right, I agree.
So if, I would prefer, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, go ahead.
Is you can set a time limit, but at least give a number of extensions as you see how things are going. If you see they're not going properly and everybody is just banking for time, then you can just stop the extensions, or they can put pressure on those outside agencies to get this thing done. I mean, there's gotta be financial recourse when an agency, unless it's a governmental agency, then it could go off.
Well, that's what,
Yeah, I
you're,
know.
you're, you're looking at
Yeah.
essentially, and I don't wanna speak for the planning board, there's two planning board members are here. What you're looking at
Yeah.
is the Board of Health, Department of Health, DEC, those agencies have to weigh in on an application.
Yeah. But they
DEC's
still-
taking 36 months.
I know, but they can still apply pressure on those, because there are financial losses. If we leave it open-ended, then they can take their sweet time and just, even the applicant, if he's not ready to go or not ready to do a capital investment.
It could toll the time, I mean, if you could do it that way, so the clock starts at planning board as normal, and then
Yeah.
it's tolled while you're dealing with outside agencies, but might be a way to do it.
Yeah, I mean, we can continue to, we can do extensions almost forever, as long as we see movement, and as long as we see it's verified, we can extend it a year at a time, if we have to. I'm just,
I understand.
open-ended is,
So the-
like, just open-ended,
I
there's
think
no.
the only other way I see then is
Yeah.
that the planning board can't give preliminary or final approval to all outside agencies come back. And I don't know if that does anything to the planning
They
board
can give
process.
conditional approval until, I'm more concerned about our extensions, that's all, and where the time limit goes. That's
Yeah.
all, and I think we can achieve the same thing, just by maybe passing a resolution that we can extend more than 6 months or a year at a time, and give not maybe one, but we could give 10 extensions if we feel that it's going in the right direction.
Yeah, and I brought that up with the planning board attorney, and he said that's the last thing I think we want is unlimited extensions. And he said, I think we want a time frame. He said, I think we want to stay with the 18 and then 6 as a max, and then just try to figure out how we do this to incorporate outside agency response.
Right, but that'll be open-ended. We're not achieving anything. We never stop it. Once we do that, as long as they have a valid, we haven't done this thing can go on forever.
So, but, okay, so let's,
I mean, I don't know. I mean,
let's take
I'm
your-
not-
let's
I'm only
take your
one member
case.
of this
Let's-
board, that's all.
no, let's play out your case. So,
Yeah.
now I'm from the planning board, I get preliminary approval, I get final approval, but I can't get a site plan signed off because outside agencies are waiting. So now it's 36, 48 months. They just keep asking for extensions, is that what we wanna do? Because that's more open-ended than,
Well, yeah, because if they don't, they don't even have to ask for an extension, Kate, you can just let it go. And say, well, listen, this agency hasn't responded. If they have capital situations, or their funding is restricted, they can blame any agency they want and keep this thing alive. To me, there has to be an end date someplace. Yeah, I'm achieving the same thing, only what I'm doing is protecting my ability
Mhm.
to say, well, enough is enough. Or at least you can put pressure on any of the outside agencies for holding you up and causing you financial grief. I mean, that's their problem, it's the applicant's problem. But if we say, well, you can just keep this open until they all respond, we have no control whatsoever. They could keep it open forever. So, I mean, I don't know, you know?
Well, let me talk to Lino, see
Yeah.
if they're gonna get feedback from that end of it, and then I'll take feedback over the next 2 weeks and present it.
I kind of agree with Phil.
I don't like the
There should
open-ended
be,
thing too, because of
you know,
the
just like totally
concerning.
open-ended until all these organizations come forward with design. I see what Joe is saying as well,
I do
but
too.
I just think that there should be a little bit control there where we can, you know, have the extensions, so to speak,
Yeah.
if that's what it comes
We
to,
can-
rather than just having it totally
We
open-ended.
Yeah.
can dictate the open-ended,
Sure,
approach
whatever
to this
good
thing.
cause is,
Right.
as long as they're,
As long
Yeah,
as
the-
we do it legally. I don't know.
From my perspective, I could care either way. All I care about is the fact that now we have these applicants coming because their site plan is expiring, their permit's expiring because they don't have it, and it's just not fair to them
No.
that they have to go through the, you know, not an entire secret process, but they basically have to
I
pretty
agree.
much start
all
over.
right, so everybody agrees on the
Yeah.
goal,
On the premise,
it's just a matter
yeah.
of the.
How you
path.
present
Okay,
that.
all right.
Yeah.
I got
Bottom
it.
line is though, that they're losing money, the longer they wait
Yeah.
to
Right.
get their building permit, they're losing money, so they should be applying pressure anyway.
Right, that's,
So-
if there's
Yeah.
a time limitation, they can go and apply
Maybe
pressure and say,
more of a-
listen,
if
I
it
got
has
an
to
extension
do it.
until
Yeah.
July 31st.
So why don't we do this then? How about we do this? How about we shift this up to the planning board for input?
That's, I was actually, that was gonna be my next question, was what does the planning board think in terms of
Yeah,
the best resolution? They're the ones that live and breathe in this world, so.
Yeah, I only spoke to the planning board attorney.
Yeah.
We have been discussing this for a couple of months now, because when he came on board, we have had 2 applicants right now whose applications have expired and
Yeah.
they have to reapply.
Well, that was gonna be my,
let's
Yeah.
just extend.
Have we asked the planning
No
board what
problem.
they
I'll
would
send,
Send
I'll
it.
send the draft
We can-
as, and
Yeah.
the comments.
And let
yeah.
them make their
Yeah.
modifications.
Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
thank you.
For sending this copy.
Yeah, I'll,
Okay.
Moving along.
Next item on the agenda is the discussion on the Community Preservation Fund. So we have been vying for this for a very, very long time, for as long as I was here and even prior to me being here. It's always been a stumbling block on the legislative side for it, but in speaking to Senator Skoufis, he agrees that in order for us to preserve land and, you know, potentially look at some of the issues that we have, solar, battery, and things like that, we're gonna have to find alternatives for preserving this land and allowing farmers and landowners to get something for their value in their property versus putting in, you know, solar or battery or any other different items that they can use to enhance their funds coming in. So with that said, you know, I reached out to him, he agreed, he did Chester. Chester's working pretty good. It's 0.75% of every sale in the town of Chester would go into a community preservation fund. And then we establish a plan. I think I gave everybody a layout of the different things that we have to look at. We're not obviously gonna do all of it tonight, it's gonna take a while, we've gotta go through seeker, it's quite extensive plan that we have to go through, but I'm just introducing it tonight, knowing that now the senator is gonna back the legislation, the senator and the assemblyman will back the legislation on this.
So this would be on the seller's side.
Correct.
The seller would do, as they sell their home, they get this tax.
Right.
Correct.
It's almost like a parkland fee coming in, it's like a.
Because that's not my understanding of what happens in Warwick. It's the buyer.
Yeah, no, this is the seller, I believe.
You know, you know, it's open-ended there, but I spoke to a real estate guy today, as a matter of fact, and he definitely said that to me, that
Well,
in Warwick, it is the buyer. And essentially what it comes down to is, the first, we're talking about a $500,000 home, because that seems to be kind of the, average or whatever. So the first $100,000 is exempt. And then, the 500,000 example I'm talking about, 400,000 is a 0.75%, which comes to $3,000. So in Warwick, if you purchase a home, you're gonna get, and it's 500,000, you're gonna get a fee of $3,000. This proposal, what you're saying is, it's the seller that's going to.
My
It's the-
understanding
It's the
is-
municipality's discretion.
It's-
It is.
We're designing the plan for us.
Okay.
But that's still you can still have, you can change it or have a hybrid even.
It'll just be passed on to the buyer anyway.
Yeah.
Either way.
I got tariffs.
Either way.
That's
Yeah.
a very good point.
Buyer's gonna pay for it
What do they do
anyway.
in Chester? Do we know if they're, if this is, do you know what they do in Chester?
This plan, I received that plan today, but I
Oh.
believe that it's 0.75% off the sale.
Oh, there's just 3/4.
Yep.
Yeah, it's typically buyer driven.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
As I said-
I'll go for the plan anyway, whichever way, whoever
Yeah?
I think we should establish it, Joe. I think it's a great idea.
I guess it's the only way to overcome preserving this land without,
Yeah.
and still allowing the owner to be able to get something out of it.
Yeah.
I have some concerns, but number
Yeah.
six,
Yeah.
number six kind of alleviates my concerns because it says, you know, the transfer tax up to 2% upon voter approval. So effectively what's gonna happen is this is going to a referendum.
Yeah.
It could,
So-
it doesn't have to, but it could.
Well,
Yes, sir. I
that's
mean,
what it says, that's what it says here.
Well, yes,
So
this is,
if the voters say, hey, yeah, this is something that should be done with a referendum, well, I feel a little bit more comfortable with it.
okay.
Yeah.
As I said, we can establish and set the ground rules for however we want to adopt this. I just think it's something that has to be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
Or this property will continue to go the way it's going.
I think it's
So
great.
it's got just about every single procedural thing you can have. It's got public hearing, secret,
Yeah.
referendum at the end, so
Yeah.
it's quite a ways away, but we gotta start somewhere.
All right, any other questions? As we begin the process? Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda was brought to my attention also by the senator. Way back in the early 70s, the town of Goshen petitioned the legislature and was able to create a housing authority. We have a housing authority law in place, which allows us to do a lot of different things. The senator is not asking us to, if we want to or don't want to, he just doesn't want to see it sitting there in limbo. So he'd like us to make a decision on whether we want to move forward with it at some point in time, or we want to just surrender it.
So it's essentially an advisory board that you would need to fill, and
Yeah, it's an advisory board, but it goes a little deeper than that. I mean, the town board has no control over that advisory board. They have the right to bond for acquisition of property. They have the right to essentially do anything, you know.
Well, can a town board member be one of the people?
I don't know. I have a call into the senator's office to find that out. I think it's not. I think it's
No.
totally separate.
It looks like it's separate. If
Yeah.
you read the document.
It's a separate entity. I understand it to be an advisory board that makes recommendations, cannot take action without town board approval, but I'm not disagreeing with the supervisor, I just didn't go down the rabbit hole until, waiting to see what the board wants to do.
It conforms to New York State Housing Authority law, and it clearly states in the law, as I read it, that the authority is separate and distinct from the town board. It has the ability to fund, has the ability to purchase, has the ability to bond without any intervention from the town board. So you're taking, well, essentially not elected people, and they're making decisions on, we want to buy a piece of property, it costs $10 million.
So,
Kind of dangerous, but.
I don't think they're the town's debts, that's the thing, they can do that, but then that doesn't come back to us,
No, it's a housing authority debt, yeah, correct.
so it's their own debt. But nonetheless, I didn't go.
I guess it needs a lot of looking into, and I think everybody should, you know, do the research on it. We don't have to make a decision tonight on whether we want it or we don't want it. I would just caution, that
so.
it opens up the door for a lot of different things.
So maybe I can give you some history on this.
Sure, go ahead.
About it. There was a time when we were trying to do some senior citizen housing. And we were trying to purchase property, and the town board was limited from purchasing any of the property. There were a lot of grants that were given out, and the ground rules have changed since, because the town board did have authority over the housing authority, even though they could borrow and stuff. But there were guarantees that would have had to be held by the town for the bonding of those. But mainly, we were after building senior citizen complexes. And in addition to that, there were a lot of tax breaks and a lot of funding that was coming from New York State as an incentive to do that. There were private investors that were doing that at that time. So if I remember correctly, we established a housing authority, but once again, the ground rules are totally different on that. If now that they can borrow without, no matter what, even if we don't have to guarantee it, we don't want them borrowing all kinds of funding, buying properties and so on and so forth with the elected officials. So I don't disagree with you, George. That's what I'm saying. Skoufis is, he's pretty well on top of this stuff, so. But I just wanted to give you some history on how this whole thing came about. So there.
Anything, George?
On the first page there, it talks about different types of things that they're going to be allowed to do. And I think some of them seem to be okay to me, but like number 4, own and manage housing assets independent of the town budget. I don't think that's something that I would be interested in at all, of managing the housing and stuff like that. Entering into a partnership, first person that comes to mind is Jonah Mendelbaum.
That's it. He was-
We didn't have
That's it.
we didn't have a housing authority in the village, but through a private partnership, I think the senior housing in the village has worked out quite well.
Yep.
So I don't know. I'm kind of up in the air. I feel that the elected officials in some way should have some control over this, and just building it and then letting it go is a little bit scary to
So
me.
now that you brought it up, at that particular time, Mendelbaum was building all of these facilities. He built one in Warwick, and he came into Goshen, and the only way we could facilitate having him build senior citizen housing was through the housing authority, but that's gone now. There were tremendous tax credits that he was receiving, and it was, you're right, to partner up with that. You had control, but now there's no control, so anyway, just to piggyback on what George said.
Yeah, I just think we really need to better understand, and maybe Murray can assist with that, better understand the do's and don'ts of what we can do and what we can't do.
Yep.
So if we could establish a board that we have financial control over, that may be worth it to look at. I would be reluctant to turn over anything to an outside board that is not regulated by the citizens of the town of Goshen.
When you spoke to Senator Skoufis, did he say anything about the fact that there's, a pot of money that's?
Yeah, there's a ton of money in the governor's budget for housing, yep, ton of money. I'm
Can
not
we
sure we want
access
that kind of
that?
housing, but there's a ton of money in the budget for housing.
Without being the housing authority, can we access that money? Or are we gonna need the housing authority to access that?
I don't know if there's a mechanism in place where we could actually, see, with the housing authority, all this property ends up being owned by the authority.
Right.
It's not sold, it's not, so I'm not sure as a municipality or as a board that we could actually own property and rent it to people. I don't know, but that's, I think we need more investigation on this.
Definitely more.
He didn't put, listen, he didn't put a timeframe on any of this, he just said, try to make a decision if you wanna keep it or if you don't wanna keep it, because it's sitting up there, it's been active since 1972.
So so the town of Goshen currently has this in place, but we've never we've never created the board,
Nope,
okay.
no, we got the pen, it's up on the wall
Bylaws.
behind Mary's
Yeah.
desk, and that's it.
Definitely needs a little more research.
All right. Next item on the agenda discuss and approve the hiring of a part-time police officer, Christopher Blessington. He's a 20-year officer, school resource officer, community resource officer, and George, certified medical technician.
Yeah.
So I think it's it's exactly what we're looking for, some more part-timers and to eliminate some of the full-time slots and eliminate some of the overtime. So, and you have all his information. I don't know if you have any questions. He's gone through the process. Sergeant Edwards has done everything. Chief has interviewed him. They think he's a good fit for the town.
He has a great resume.
Oh, I know, I was gonna say that, the
Great
resume was
Yeah.
wonderful.
Just,
I think he's a Minnesink kid, Minnesink graduate.
Yeah.
Be patrol, or is he gonna do it in the schools, or patrol?
No, we don't have any school resource officers.
No.
He was a school resource officer.
It was, yeah.
No, I think he's seems to me to be a good candidate.
yeah,
And I love part-time.
yeah.
I knew that'd make you
No
happy.
benefits. We
Part-time
like it.
George.
George is vying for at least 3 more.
We like it.
It's so much more cost effective.
Yes.
All right, so then, any other,
No, we can make the motion.
yeah,
I think.
can I have a motion to approve the hiring of Christopher Blessington?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Review and approve the January 22nd, 2026 town board minutes. Any questions on it? Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
George and Bill.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next item on the agenda is the IWS transfer station upgrades, IWS seeker, FEIS extension. They're not gonna, they have a little bit more work to do after their public hearing with the comments that the public had, and they're asking for an extension to take us through March 26th.
Weren't they also waiting for DEC feedback as well?
Yeah, they're not, they're waiting for, something back from the DEC, correct, but more importantly, they're waiting just to close out the FEIS, that's,
Okay.
the DEC they can get their approval on the
Good,
town
okay.
board, and still wait for the DEC, that's back to the planning board. So, any questions on this?
No, I mean, we had that deadline,
Yeah.
remember, where we had to act at a certain time?
Yep.
Yeah.
And I assume they had
That's-
to act back at a certain time or not?
It-
And therefore, the extension, I just don't wanna get hung up.
The extension is
in
kind of, it's an extra, it's not entirely necessary, because they're the drafters of the FEIS, so that it doesn't require an extension, they ask for one.
Well, I have no problem.
I don't know.
No, I mean, it's a no-brainer,
Yeah.
I actually don't think it's entirely
I
necessary, but.
believe we had 180 days to act, if they
Yeah.
provided us with everything. They can't provide us with it, so therefore, the 180-day timeframe is not something that we have to worry about.
We're
My
not
understanding.
at issue
Right.
at all.
So you need a motion?
The motion, yeah, please,
I'll make the motion.
second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Review and approve the dial-a-bus safety program plan with New York State DOT. Town's required to update a dial-a-bus system program plan with the DOT every 2 years. The only update we are doing is updating the ridership mileage totals for the year. It's in the plan on page 4, I believe.
I think they actually highlighted it in the plan.
Yeah,
Do they?
Yeah.
page 4, top
The-
4.1.
Otherwise, no changes materially to the contract.
I was gonna say same as
All right, you sent us the email, you reviewed it,
Yep.
everything seems to be in order.
Yep.
They made it very easy for me. They highlighted the changes, so I'm very happy.
Yes.
So you need a motion?
I
Yeah.
do.
I'll make the motion
I'll
to
second
accept
it.
the safety plan.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, next item on the agenda is discuss and review the plans for the updated Craigville Park. The plan was approved by the Park and Rec Commission on Tuesday night. Everybody has a copy of it. It calls for, well, I'm gonna let Melissa do it.
That's okay.
No, I'm gonna let
No,
Melissa do it.
you're
She's our Park and Rec representative.
So, yes, the JRC meeting was held this past Tuesday. We reviewed the initial plans for the upgrades to the Craigville Park expansion, which we're calling Phase A of it, which is gonna include 3 new athletic fields, additional parking lot, but we're thinking of actually putting in more parking than was originally on there, and an additional entrance in addition to a splash pad, which is like a water, like a little water pad for the kids, which is something that I've wanted to do for 20 years since we moved up here. I wanted a water pad, a splash pad forever. Didn't need a pool, I wanted a splash pad. You know, my husband goes to the camp on really hot days with the fire trucks and they spray the kids down. So that's their, that's their water. So we're upgrading a little bit to the splash pad, thanks to the grant that we've received from Senator Skoufis's office. And really that's it on Craigville, unless you had anything else you wanted to.
No, I think, for me, the exciting part is to get the traffic out of the village, and this is gonna give an entrance off of Wolchester Road to get into Craigville Park, so Saturdays, we're not, 25, 30 deep at the corner of Craigville and 207.
And the other updates were the Salesian Park, as everyone knows, is delayed due to weather, snow, cold, but that's full steam ahead on that. Salesian, I already said that, Erie. And we also have plans to update some of the playground equipment in Hamiltonian Park, as well as do repaving of the basketball court, so.
Yeah, a lot of exciting things over at Craigville Park.
Yeah, Craigville's gonna be amazing.
And after
We're due.
Steve Esposito and Engineering Properties going out there, we thought there was a lot of wetlands back there. He's delineated the wetlands. There's quite a bit of property back there that's still available for any future growth. But
Yeah.
this gives the football program a home. You know, they've been tossed around all over this town for 20-something years, whether it be high school, whether it be Erie Street, wherever they could possibly play. This gives them a home. And up and coming lacrosse is a big new sport in the town of Goshen, so it gives them a home. Additional soccer field, and
Yeah,
and the great thing about it is the grant, after we sat on the call with the people that are gonna be putting the splash pad in, it looks like that we won't have to spend a penny out of parkland fees
which is great.
on the $750 that the senator gave us. They think they can bring the project in for under $750. Possibly
Yeah.
even get another pavilion out of it.
And even talking about the splash pad, so it's going to cater to children of all ages, so there's gonna be some larger pieces, some smaller pieces, also ADA for children with disabilities to make that accessible. It's gonna be nature theme, which is gonna be great. There's gonna be lots of like tree and rock. They had sports themes, but we thought that would be really timely to have a nature theme there. It's gonna have a capacity of about 40 to 50 children at a time. And obviously we'll have to figure out the scheduling in terms of camp and everybody else, but it's a really exciting project, so. Yeah, I always have good
Any
things
questions from the
for
board?
myself.
So the wetlands on the Old Chester Road side.
Yep.
They're delineated there in green?
Yeah, they're,
All the rest of it is not considered wetlands?
Nope.
no,
So I guess somewhere in that area then, that's where the road would be put in?
Right there.
Correct.
You see it.
Oh, is it on mine? Oh,
yeah.
is this it?
That's it, right there.
Oh, I see. Oh, okay. So it just then attaches right to the existing road?
Correct.
Right.
And if you see, there's another parcel of property up here off of Heritage, which is completely flat, just about, and, we're gonna reserve that for later on to do something. We're gonna try to put a bathroom, down here somewhere, but initially it'll just be, we'll get some porta potties down there.
That might
to
be
accommodate.
phase 2, yeah.
Yep.
So where the Castle Field was is now gonna be parking?
Correct.
And then did you say there's gonna be additional parking?
We're thinking on the
above and
other
beyond?
side of the other athletic field, just to have a gravel, like a overflow parking.
Right.
Because if you have children and you've taken them to sports at Craigville Park, you know what a disaster it is. It is unbearable, because it's not only Goshen people, you're having all the, other teams that are coming and their parents. Parking is, you're grabbing your kids, it's very dangerous. So we're hoping that that is going to alleviate it, so.
Looks good.
And I'll update the board, obviously, when we keep moving this forward. The board, JRC did approve the initial phase to move forward. That's it.
All right, very good. Thank you, Melissa.
Sure.
Okay, item number 10. So we're gonna continue our discussion on the previous solar moratorium and findings. When we came out of moratorium, I think, Phil, you were discussing One of your issues, which I think is a big issue, is the circumvention of the megawatt capacity on a application.
Right.
Where they're coming in and subdividing properties to expand to beyond the 5 megawatts per
Right.
parcel.
Right.
So I think we're gonna continue to look at that.
I would think so. I think, once again, it's 5 megawatts, so they just get a piece of property, they divide it, and all of a sudden they have 10 megawatts on a piece of property. However, I think we should extend this because we've addressed this in our comprehensive plan and our master plan, as far as solar and buffers and side yards and setbacks and stuff like that. So I think if we can continue this moratorium and look at this thing and just,
Well, we actually closed the moratorium, so if you're, if you wanna look at, creating another moratorium, we can look at that. Obviously, we can't do it tonight, but,
Right.
I think as long as we're speaking and looking at the different things that we need to look at that have come up since the last moratorium, this is a big issue.
Yeah.
It's becoming a bigger issue because they circumvent the process. You can get 10 megawatts from the state, I understand, right? You gotta go to ORS, you gotta get all
Yeah,
that.
anything under 25, you can do as long as it's owned in your town code.
But
So they could come in and plop a 10 megawatt down. They don't need to do 2 5s. It's a NYSERDA incentivized based.
So
Yeah.
funding's not there for 10 megawatts, but it is
It's
for
less,
2.5.
less likely to get it.
I thought they were limited to a 5 megawatts.
Well, that was represented to this board 2 or 3 years ago when this came up.
Right.
But,
Have
I
they changed?
went and looked, and it's 25 is the threshold where regulatory oversight increases and things of that nature.
But we
So-
have no control over anything more than 5 megawatts, right? It goes to the state for review. As I understand it, if somebody comes in and applies for a 10 megawatt plant, anything larger than a 5 megawatt plant, the town board does nothing. There's no review at the town board, it's strictly at the state board level.
I understand it to be 25 is where the Office of Renewable Energy and Public Service Law come into play, but I can,
What does our zoning give?
our zoning allows it as long as you don't have variance issues. Most of the time, the megawatts, that size array in our town creates side yard, doesn't fit without a variance, so.
Our zoning allows more than 5 megawatts on a parcel of property?
I don't think we even
It
talk about
It
megawatts.
doesn't limit. I don't believe it limits it.
Yeah,
To
maybe
be
we should
candid,
look at-
Phil, I did not look at
Okay,
that. I
okay.
looked at.
Yeah, I thought it
Because
is.
it was represented to us a couple years ago that the reason it was 5
Yeah.
was because you can't do 10.
And that's why, I mean, there is a lot of cost to the applicants because they would deliberately subdivide.
Correct.
Because they knew there was a 5
Well, if they-
margin. Now, if there isn't, then there would be no reason for all the,
Well,
but I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe-
plus the internal line.
The reason for the subdivision is the incentives from NYSERDA. They don't give, my understanding that the incentives are much less at more than 5 megawatts. So they qualify even though they're side by side because they split it and it's based on the SBL.
Correct.
So they get the full incentive on this SBL and the full incentive on this SBL, even though they're basically merged to a 10 megawatt
Yeah.
plant.
Yeah, all right, well, maybe you can look into that just a little bit.
Yeah, sure. The direction I got was elsewhere, but I'll look into it.
Yeah, I'll
for sure.
look into it too, I know.
I mean, if we're gonna,
Yeah,
why don't we talk then,
okay,
right?
okay, yeah.
Sounds like you're leading another committee now.
So can we have?
Keep putting, it's part of the
This whole
comprehensive.
process is really aging me,
Can we-
worse than every day.
Can we agree that by the next meeting, we're gonna have an understanding of
Yeah.
what we wanna look at?
That's fair.
That's good, yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna hold this over till next meeting.
Yeah, and then and just as a side note, we really need to have a discussion with our zoning board of appeals, because I don't think any of these come in that are within the guidelines of
Right.
our, and the
Yeah.
zoning appeal, the variance you asked.
But the
for.
variance is one of the challenges and the unique nature of it is it's an internal lot line, right? So
Yeah.
the variance is against the neighbor is the same person, right? So you're taking 100% variance off the town code, but the aggrieved party, direct aggrieved party, is the same person.
Same
Right,
So,
but they may not have all the land to do all the buffers in the zone.
no doubt, but that's what makes it unique, it's a very, very, since my time as attorney there, it's the most unique, variance, because it's always substantial, but the other factors don't always, they're not as, it doesn't override them, I guess, because it's only one factor, even though it's substantial, but then the person comes in, instead of saying, I don't want this,
Yeah.
they go, I want this, they're their neighbor, but it's the same person
Right.
saying it, right?
Right. No,
It's
no,
kind
I
of a
understand.
strange concept, but.
I
so,
understand.
Yeah.
That may be a flaw in our system here, a factory.
Well, yeah, I
A
mean,
factory
it's-
flaw in our vehicle.
So,
Yeah.
Okay.
when it comes to the comprehensive review on there, are you putting any modifications into the zoning for, to take into account for solar?
We're doing buffers mainly, you know, the buffers on all the installations, but I better take another look at that.
The other thing I think is something to look at is distance between facilities.
For solar.
Yep.
Yeah, we didn't spend, we thought we were pretty good on solar, so we didn't spend much time. Is that right, Mark? You on our committee?
We were mainly concerned with warehouses and large buildings like that, but I think the same applies here.
And buffers,
And
where.
setbacks.
Any setbacks for any commercial, structure, but however, I just, while we're on it, just if you don't mind, I'll ask the board. Anything you see that you think should be changed, please make a note of it and give it to us,
Mhm.
so we can discuss it. Something like this very much, you know,
Yep.
but, I mean, we got as much as we thought we got in a year and a half, but there are always things that you just leave out and you, so, or change, so.
I'll send you the memo I have already thus far, Phil,
Okay.
and then maybe direct me back to where you want me to continue on it, okay?
Oh, okay, good, thank you. Yeah,
What's the date that you need the comments by?
well, there was no set drop dead date, but I said 30 days. Hopefully would be enough for the town board.
5 pages a day.
To review, so it's the end of February, it's got the March meeting.
I'm about halfway through.
No, I gotta listen.
Not enough pictures in there.
It's
Phil.
197 pages,
It's a
and we
big
labored,
document.
you know.
And there's a
it wa-
lot in there, a
It
lot of
wasn't
good
only the
stuff, yeah.
meetings.
I know.
We had about 40 meetings, but it wasn't only the meetings, then everybody had to go home and do homework
Mhm.
and read all this stuff, and so, yeah, there's a lot in there, there's a lot in there, so. if-
Yeah, it was great.
But yeah, I mean, if you even need more time, this is something that really is huge. It was supposed to be just like, you know, we'll update it, but it became a real project, so. And I had a fantastic committee that did so much work on this. So yeah, take your time.
I've been making notes.
Thank you. Not too many, please.
No, not too many.
Okay, thanks.
You did a great job.
I'm not authorized to read every page of
You're not.
bankrupt the
Yeah.
town if I
You
did.
can
so.
on your own dime.
Yeah,
I wanted to, I was
no,
like,
no,
okay.
no.
Put a kid
Don't
in
you
college
want-
with that thing.
Don't you wanna have knowledge about it? All right, so we'll
Thank you.
table this to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Next item on the agenda is to review and authorize the supervisor to sign the lease agreement with KS State Bank for 2 international dump trucks with plows. It took them 4 years to make one and 3 years to make the other. But they just came in and,
The one is in line already, right?
One's on, yep.
And the other is coming.
coming, yep, they'll both be here for next season, but,
So I had a few questions.
yeah, go ahead, shoot.
First of all, I'm sure this went out to bid, or did this go out to bid?
It was purchased off the Onondaga
State?
County. Onondaga
State
County.
bid?
Yep, state bid.
So this bank apparently from Kansas, or what is it, Kansas?
Yep,
Is part of, they have approval on the state bid
correct.
list?
That's where we got them.
Okey dokey. Secondly, they mentioned, now you just said lease, but in here. they mentioned
I'm sorry,
fin-
finance,
It's a
not lease, it's the
purchase
finance. yep.
Okay, I'm
It's
just.
a 5-year finance.
Yeah, so, they mentioned a, rate that they were going to give us, but it's not in any of the agreement. This agreement was really cumbersome, but I read the whole thing once.
I think it's,
But
5.2%.
Was it, did I
Actually,
miss it?
5.19.
Did I miss it in
Yeah, I couldn't find it either.
It's way in the back.
It's in very small letters.
Yeah.
here? It must be tiny, because I read this thing twice.
What page was that on, George? Do you know?
I'm looking for it now.
And in addition to, that might be in the agreement, but on the
Um,
face of the agreement, it says
On the tax form, the last thing.
On the
Oh,
tax
the
form.
tax.
8038G, it says, the amount, the issue amount, over 4 years, and it's 5.19%.
That's on the tax form, but it's not on the agreement that
And
was
it's
signed.
not on the payment schedule
No,
either.
not at all.
I thought that was part of the agreement.
No.
Well,
But-
I think maybe I saw that in another spot too, but.
I couldn't find
If you
it.
did, because it's the debt authorization that I've been looking at. I mean, I did this all my life, so.
Right, I know, you have a
It-
lot of
it's-
experience with
Yeah,
this.
it's a debt authorization.
I thought it would have been reflected on Exhibit B, the payment schedule, where it would delineate what the percentage was. Because then
Yeah,
it breaks out,
it gives you-
applied to interest, contract payment, applied to the principal. You know, I would have thought
Exactly.
that's where it would have been.
But even on the note itself,
Yeah.
it doesn't give anything, it just gives you the amount of the payment and so on. And when I looked at this, I was just a little confused about this, because I didn't, maybe if the rate was in there, I couldn't back into it. But what I saw is, it's a 5-year contract
Yep,
at $94,000 a year.
correct.
So, and, let me just pull it up. On the 5-year contract, when we sign, the first payment is due in advance, it looks like. I just wanna make sure I understand what they're saying. The first payment's due in advance, of $94,000. So now you have 4 more payments at $94,000. But if the first payment's due in advance, and they break down the interest per payment.
Right.
At closing, yep.
If the first payment is due in advance, the 426,000, I think it is now 370 some odd thousand.
335,000.
35, is that what it
Yeah,
is? I
because
keep
there's zero
forgetting.
interest the first year, the whole thing is applied to principal. The whole $94,000 applied to
Right,
principal.
right, but the next 4 years, if you add up the interest, it comes to what, about $46,000?
Correct.
And you're only borrowing $335,000, because you're paying the first payment,
Correct.
and there's no interest. So at $46,000 for a $426,000 payment over really 4 years, I didn't see an APR. Usually, they would break the APR down on this and show you, break it down. But that sounds like a hell of a lot more than 5%. So, once again, I didn't do the numbers, but I'm not sure if I'm really looking at this thing properly.
Well, you
My
know,
only
we do,
comment-
Phil, I don't have to sign it tonight, so,
Yeah.
I mean, as long as everything else is okay, you know, you should go in and sit with Jen, come in and sit with Jen tomorrow and get,
I probably want to talk to this bank.
yeah, no, I said, get
Yeah.
her, what do you call it, on the phone tomorrow.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at it
Okay.
and it's 26.
I also spoke with Roderick today about this issue, and he said there were 2 options, I guess 2 different banks, and he's the one that reiterated again that they took this one
Yeah,
because
it's
it was
okay.
a lower, and the lower being the 5.19.
Right, and I
That's-
just need to
that's what he
have,
said.
know how they backed into the 5.19.
No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Because, you know, I don't know if taxes, I don't know what's in there. When you get an APR, your interest rate is predicated on all the expenses that
Yeah, it's
go
about-
into it. This is strictly straight, I just didn't know.
It's roughly 5.15%. If you take 335 and multiply it by 5.15%, you get 17,000 in interest, that's what the second year is. Then you take the 257, it's 13,000, so it's about 5.15%.
Per year.
But let's get her on the
Yeah,
phone tomorrow,
yeah,
you know,
yeah.
I should have did that, I apologize,
No,
I should have had
that's
you
okay.
take a look at it.
No, that's fine.
So do we want to pass this contingent on the fact that
Yeah, well, let's do this, let's get a motion to authorize the supervisor to sign the lease pending approval from Phil's investigation tomorrow. Is that fair?
That works.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Did you ever find that file?
I need a roll call on this.
No, not on the only place I found it was on the last page.
Go ahead.
On the tax form.
Yeah.
So it's not as part of this agreement, that 5.1% that I saw.
But then I also heard from Roderick, but it's, I
I
don't
understand, they can say anything they want, but
Just-
there's no.
I didn't find.
Just ask for it,
Yeah,
yeah, let's
yeah.
just ask for it to be put on the paper tomorrow, not a problem.
It's their agreement, I presume.
Yeah, they can.
We need a roll call on this.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's a motion to adopt that.
Yeah.
that
Motion.
resolution.
The motion to adopt the resolution that's in the packet.
Correct,
Okay, so we
pending,
had that.
pending approval from
Yeah.
Councilman Cantorino after he speaks to them tomorrow.
Councilmember Gallo.
Aye.
Councilmember Lyons.
Aye.
Councilmember Cantorino.
Yeah,
Supervisor Benson.
Aye.
and this is for, sounds like 2 medium-duty trucks with plows, right?
Yeah,
Probably 225,000, that's not the heavy side. That's all right.
Dump trucks.
It's a-
they're dumps, but I don't think they're I don't think they're triaxles.
No. Yeah.
That's good.
One was ordered 4 years ago.
Yes, I know.
Just came in.
That's crazy.
All right, next item on the agenda is a review and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay accounts payable check run dated February 12th, 2026 in the amount of $2,780,884.85. Before anybody has a heart attack, that's the two payments to the fire department.
So moved.
Second,
Second?
all in favor?
Aye.
I sounded vouchers today. My hand was shaking because they're a taxing authority, and we sent $2 million to the local fire company. And first I signed $136,000 to the Chester Fire Company, and they only do a little bit of Surrey Meadows at $136,000. And I just wanna
It's easier to,
make a note of it, that's all. Go ahead.
I don't have a number on the next one. Do you have a number on that?
Yeah, sorry. It's $264,508.90 in the manual AP run.
Review and approve a motion to authorize the supervisor to pay manual AP run as of 1/31/2026, $264,508.90.
So moved.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
And attaches the AP run from January 22nd and February 12th. Okay. Privilege of the floor. Please come up, state your name, and
Hi, everyone, it's Mark Buckeye. Thanks for hosting us tonight.
Mark, give me 1 second.
Hold on, Mark.
Is that
Hold
on?
on.
I know you don't need it in order to be on.
There it is.
Just on that last question, what kind of chassis are those trucks for 225,000?
Good ones.
They're not. Those are not real heavy duty trucks.
No.
no.
What are they specified as a? Does it give a model number or anything like that on there?
See, I don't know what the GVWs are on these
Yeah,
trucks.
those are going to be small trucks.
Probably 15,000.
They are, they're coming with plows. to
Yeah,
do some of the
okay.
snow.
They're probably 15,000 GVWs.
Couple of other things. Councilwoman Galloway did an admirable job on the Parks and Recreation front. Sounds like the park is going to be really tremendous. Longer term, we need a park on the south side of the town also, but that's a longer term project. I want to commend the town board for pushing forward with the Community Preservation Fund, which is something that I've thought a lot about. And I have gladly paid twice now the 7/8 of a percentage point, 87.5 bips on purchases of property, expensive properties in the town of Warwick. Warwick's done a tremendous job with it, and it has enhanced, I gladly paid it, it has enhanced the value of my property tremendously. Just as an example, I brought it to Councilman Cantorino while we were discussing all this to put it in the master plan. Warwick bought a farm August last year or something like that out on off Kings Highway. They got 70% of the money for it from the county and the state. So Warwick ended up putting down 30%. So it's a vehicle that gives us a lot of leverage is what I'm saying, because now there's a lot of money available. I mean, I can't get a publication from Newhouse without it screaming about, you know, the importance of open space and how the county is willing to help on all this. So I compliment you very much on that. How this is going to be financed, there are a lot of different ways there. I gladly paid it as a buyer of property on a piece of property in Warwick, in the village, and on my horse farm in Pine Island. Normally when we assess taxes or fees, we kind of, as a society, look at it and say, okay, who's this really going to benefit? So we tax cigarettes a lot because it's horrible behavior. We're trying to discourage it, and we're supposed to put that money into healthcare. We give families per child tax credits because it's behavior that we want to encourage.
Joe, can you push the, okay,
George.
good.
No,
I think the value of these programs accrues.
Joe,
What
yours
about
is-
Rick's?
Not mine, sorry.
We need new mics.
I think the value of this program accrues to the people that are going to be here in town for a while. I personally feel, from an equity point of view, that assessing the fee on the buyers of the property is the better way to do it, because they are the ones that are going to enjoy the benefits of this going forward, as I have in Warwick, versus, hitting people that are old or retired or selling their house for whatever reason for that fee. I think it's fair to hit the buyers for it. Now, there could be a little bit of a splitting of it also, but coming back to how we assess taxes and fees, we kind of try to look who benefits from this, who causes the problems that we're trying to encourage or discourage. If we're trying to preserve open space to mitigate more traffic, more congestion from commercial properties, I don't know. I would think that commercial property owners should pay into this kitty also, because by purchasing open space, we're trying to offset some of the damage that they are causing. So I would look at financing in a couple of different ways. That's all I got to say, but congratulations, great move.
Are we talking about taxing them on a sale of their business also?
No, I'm talking about perhaps if we can, an ongoing tax, couple percentage, couple hundredths of a percentage point on commercial properties, because a lot of this is going to mitigate the increased traffic that's going to come from all of that, the loss of the land from a big warehouse, something like that. So generally, we try and hit people for fees and taxes that are causing the problems, and that's just what I'm saying. But great job on this.
Can you just
Those
say
who
your
may
name?
not know,
Sorry.
Marcia Matthews, thank you. I spent many years working with George and working with other people here. But the bottom line is the two young men who are talking about creating the, what's it called?
Solar farm.
The solar farming, thank you. And already have come at a meeting here to talk about the benefits, not for them, even though the benefits are all for them, to make it double the size, in order to make them far more money. In fact, they now are listed not by their personal names any longer, but by the solar entity. I was in charge of water for the village of Goshen, where all of our supplies come from right near throughout, and we own the property that we have our places on, our water sources. To take and expect for these young men to come along and say that everything is perfect. And they spoke for a long time, talking at the end of the evening after many people showed up here to let this town know exactly what they are trying to do for their benefit and destroy the history of the people who have lived up there for generations and generations, and the village of Goshen's entire water supply. It is absolutely unbelievable to me, having been mayor and water for years, that there cannot be any way that we can expose the village of Goshen's water supply. It is totally there, and they own the property. We own the property. The village of Goshen people own the property. This is a definite violation of the protection of the entire water supply for our village of Goshen. I know that there are other people who want to speak, and I know that we have many more things that will have to be discussed, but I sincerely respect that you have a vision for what you really want for the town of Goshen. And we also want the village of Goshen, which is the center here, and all of our water supply and all that they paid for, to make sure that that is our property. To heck with what these young men at the end of the evening, when it was last week, at the end of the evening, he said, it'll be so wonderful. We'll put in a new road. They want to put in a new road so they can put up twice the amount of housing and twice the amount of all of these things that they want to put up. I sincerely respect that you seriously look very closely to this, because you're talking about destroying our water supply and destroying all the people. This room was filled with people who have generations there, and they are livid. Please, give them the opportunity to make you understand how important it is to the village of Goshen. And I have to tell you, I am very proud to be able to sit and talk with you. I hope you listen. Thank you.
Please do.
Okay? Thank you.
Bill?
Bill Troy, Town of Goshen. At the last meeting, the board adopted a moratorium, I believe, 3 months or 6 months, I can't remember, but on the battery storage. And my reading of the parameters of that seemed to suggest that nothing should be done by the board during that 6-month period. In other words, nothing to advance the proposal. So I'm wondering what is being done. Do you just wait 6 months and then take it up again?
We spent 2 hours on.
We spent 2 hours this morning.
The three of us spent 2 hours on a Zoom this morning.
On a Zoom with NYSERDA, with 6 members, independents, we
Yeah.
spent 6 hours.
So we're getting information, we're getting studies, they've answered our questions. We had questions on flow batteries versus the lithium ion
Yeah.
batteries. You know, at the end of the day, this is something that's coming down from Albany, renewable energy. There's a need for it. We lack energy, but it's got to fit for us. And we made it clear to them that we're genuinely concerned when somebody says, "Let it burn out."
Yes.
They're still saying
And
the
with a
same
straight
thing.
face, let it burn out.
Yeah.
So we're taking it seriously. I mean, I don't know what we're gonna be able to do until we gather all the data, but there's gonna be some changes that are made, for sure.
Okay, well, you've answered the question. You are working on it,
Oh, yeah.
you're generating data to form a conclusion.
I mean, as far as their process in the planning board, if they wanna waste their time continuing on that process, it could all be for nothing, but
No,
that's entirely up to them.
it's been tabled.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's mandatory that there's a peer review, and that's one of the things that's happening now with an outside agency. I think it was DV.
DMV.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
forget the woman's name, the woman.
Carrie Kaplan.
Yeah,
Good.
so we're supposed to be getting a report from this, in quotes, independent, group that will guide us, I guess, to a certain extent on a decision. That's just one thing, and then, of course, there's other data that's coming in
Yeah.
from other sources.
And the applicant's paying for that study.
Yep, yep.
And they-
Not paying for who we use, but they funded the person that we chose.
Great.
There was still no program to suppress any fire. It's still a let it burn out. There's no technology at this particular point,
Well,
even based on our meeting today or whatever.
Personally, I think that's what
Still
the
not.
focus needs to be on, is that solution.
That's-
Yeah.
So, I mean, what they said to us makes sense. I still like to see some studies done on it, but what they're saying is lithium-ion batteries burn at such a high temperature. By putting a suppression on it, all you do is cool it down to smolder the fire a lot longer. It's better to let it burn out and dissipate than it is to try to put it out, because you're not gonna put it out. Makes sense, but, you know, still a little scary, because you have residential houses that are within 300,
Yeah.
400 feet of that facility. And you, I can't tell the weather. And
Yep.
the weather people can't tell the weather. You know, so we don't know if the wind's blowing east to west, north to south. Who do we evacuate? Who does that? Who shows up at the site and said, it's blowing east to west, get those 10 families out of here?
Mm.
These are all things that we want to look at and we want to understand, and we want to see if there's a plan in place in order to make sure that we are protecting the people in that area.
Okay, great. Thanks very much.
Okay.
Good evening. My name is Paul Camerari. I'm a resident town of Goshen. Thank you, members of the town board and Supervisor Petro and fellow residents, for allowing me this time to speak this evening. So I stand here tonight not to oppose solar energy or renewable progress in general, but many of us support true clean energy goals and initiatives, but respectfully urge the caution and adherence to our town's own vision regarding the proposed 18 Milburn Road solar project. Goshen's comprehensive plan was crafted with broad community input to protect our rural character, preserve open space and farmland, safeguard scenic corridors, watersheds, and agricultural overlays, and ensure developments fit low impact, high quality of life identity that defines our town. The RU zoning district and its protections exist precisely to prevent large-scale industrial installations from altering that character. This proposed 10 megawatt project, split into two 5 megawatt arrays via an internal subdivision, requires 3 area variances from the ZBA, which reconvenes on March 3rd. These requested reliefs are tied to the applicant's choice to subdivide the NYSERDA incentives, which cap community solar eligibility at 5 megawatts per array to promote accessible subscriber-based projects rather than massive ones. This hardship appears self-created, not a unique site condition beyond the applicant's control, but design decision to maximize incentives and usurp the program control set forth by NYSERDA. Under New York law, variances are not meant to accommodate such strategies if they conflict with zoning intent or the comprehensive plan. Residents have raised serious legitimate concerns at these hearings. Potential impacts on local streams and watersheds from runoff, fire safety risks, loss of wildlife habitat on nearly 60 acres, visual blight despite the proposed screening, and even hundreds of trees won't fully hide panels in a scenic rural area. Glare issues, effects on nearby property values, and quality of life. The Planning Board's negative secret declaration addressed some mitigation, but many feel it doesn't fully resolve these in a rural context. In light of this, I have submitted a formal request to reopen the secret review based on new information and some serious concerns brought forward by residents during the ongoing public process. While we've heard at the last ZBA meeting, John Hurley, the Director of Operations for Solar Energy Partners, and the applicant and his counsel at the last meeting, where he gave a compelling speech about the benefits of sustainable energy and providing for the community. It's important to note that he, nor Solar Energy Partners, is actually part of our local community. As an out-of-state representative based in Georgia or Arkansas by some records, his perspective, while professional, does not reflect the lived experience or long-term stakes of Goshen residents who will bear the permanent impacts of our landscape, environment, and way of life. While the project involves a company by Solar Liberty, a New York-based firm handling planning and construction with local subcontractors, the true owner and the driving force behind it is Solar Energy Partners, an out-of-state company based in Georgia. And this reflects a troubling pattern we've been seeing all across New York State. Out-of-state solar companies purchasing rural land here solely for profit, then pressuring local town boards to alter zoning codes or grant variances in violation of our comprehensive plan to make their incentive maximizing projects fit. Profits flow to the out-of-state owner, but the visual, environmental, and character impacts remain here for generations. Approving these variances risks setting a precedent. More large arrays on rural land, optimized around state incentives rather than our town's plan. It could erode the protections residents fought to include in our master plan. I respectfully ask the board to only approve projects that are fully commensurate with our comprehensive plan and will not impose undue burdens or impede on the quality of life, rural character, and well-being of Goshen residents. Furthermore, given the growing number of large-scale solar proposals in our rural areas and the pattern of pressure on local zoning, I urge the board to impose a moratorium on any further ground-mounted solar development until the town can fully review and update its regulations to better protect our farmland, open spaces, and community vision in line with the comprehensive plan. Thank you for your time and your thoughtful consideration. I appreciate the opportunity to share these points on behalf of myself and many other concerned neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, James Caggiano, resident on August Road. As I told the zoning board at their meeting, I have mixed emotions in talking professionally as well as a resident, being that my family and generations have been a resident of Goshen for nearly 100 years. So we've been in that area for nearly 100 years. At the same time, I am a professional engineer with over 50 years experience, especially in the water and wastewater treatment aspect. And namely, I worked closely with Trustee Lyons and Mayor Marcia when they were with the village. They were both water commissioners, and I worked with them intimately on issues of water, especially. The handout that I give you tonight, when you get a chance, please review it. It's got some good data in there that you should see that was not included in the applicant's package, and that's important. They swayed their review, the seeker review, in the way they want to. Been there and done it as a consultant for 50 years, so I know what's involved when it comes to this. The first part of this handout will talk to you about property value. Noted studies by reputable entities indicate that in the first 9 years, the property values in that immediate area, but also within a 3-mile radius, which that area brings you right into half the whole village of Goshen, property values have gone down anywhere between 7.9 to 4.8%. So it's the property value. So again, if you have something in the range of a $500,000 house, as you was indicating on some other aspects, if you lose 5%, you're losing $25,000 on your house immediately. And that, will impact assessed value, taxes and property taxes and school taxes lower to the town because your property value went down. I don't want that to happen. That's the first part. The second part, which I asked you to look at, is there's a pullout in here, and they talk about the critical environmental area. That is it's a pullout. You can see the map. As Marcia pointed out, the village of Goshen's drinking water has 3 watersheds that supply water where it has the treatment plant on Lower Reservoir Road. There are 3 watersheds being, one being Green Reservoir, the other one being Burroughs Swamp Pond, and the other one being the main reservoir, which is the one you see off reservoir, the larger reservoir. But it's fed by 2 other reservoirs. So there's 3 watersheds. This proposed solar farm is in the watershed of Burroughs. If you then look at the last part of the handout, these solar panels contain very hazardous materials within it. If you get a chance, again, please review it when you have a chance, but please review what the components make up these solar panels. If they leak or they go on fire, talk about a fire, I mean, lithium batteries, seem to be, and salute the board for looking at the lithium battery aspect, but if these panels go on fire, the whole area has to be evacuated, and it'll be like 9/11. I mean, there are areas, I think, in the town that may be able to house something like this, but definitely not in a residential area. Definitely not in a residential area. Areas maybe like where the Altieri landfill, that part of the industrial area, may be able to house these panels more safely and away from residents. But God forbid if something happens between leakage of those panels into the Goshen's drinking water, or obviously if it leaks, it's going to contaminate the wells of the neighbors right around, the groundwater. So even the wells, you get contaminated, it costs, the treatment is phenomenal to try to treat the chemicals that you'll see when you get a chance, cadmium, lead, PFAS, which is a chemical now that everybody in the health department and in the water industry and even wastewater, PFAS is a chemical that it's all over the place, and now it's like the #1 contaminant that we have to remove, but it's extremely costly to try to remove PFAS. And the village's water treatment plant on Lower Reservoir Road cannot handle that. You would have to build like Newburgh did, when they had a PFAS contamination, you had to put granulated carbon and other chemicals, take 2 or 3 years. So in other words, for 2 or 3 years, you would have to truck in water to the village to serve. So again, I ask you to please look at the handout, see what the impacts are. They are tremendous. And, again, there are areas where I'm very pro, clean energy like everyone else, but there are areas where they shouldn't be built. And this is one that should be looked at. Under the SEQA process, there should be an environmental impact statement performed by an independent, professional environmental firm that does this type of work and has experience in solar farms and panels that have these contaminants. They would address an environmental impact statement would address all these concerns. It would look at the socioeconomic, it would look at the environmental. So the concerns of the residents, including the board, you could, at that point, you could then address it, and whether you agree or disagree with the results of this impact statement would be vital to make a decision. So once again, we trust you as the guardians of the town, and we hope that you look at this proposal in a different light. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Anybody else like to speak? Neil?
Thank you, Neil Halloran, from the town of Goshen. I have some questions. I'm going to end up dropping one of the things, discussions I have, but anyhow, I do want to say, follow up with Mark. I do think the idea of the Community Preservation Fund is great. I know that when Honey Bernstein brought it up when she was in office, the voters voted to spend up to $5 million for it. I know we never spent all that money, but I know the people were very much for it at that point in time, and that was coming totally out of their pocket and not through the property transfer tax. So I think it's a great idea. I hope you do follow through on that. There was a topic number 2 about the extension of the approvals. That's been a problem for the planning board for a long time. As you probably know, there's at least 4 or 5 subdivisions and some commercial properties that have had approvals or conditional approvals or preliminary approvals. Not preliminary, really conditional approvals for up to 10 years. One of the concerns that the planning board has had about it, and it hasn't totally been resolved, is that when we talk about some of the impacts of subdivisions, we look at like traffic. What's it going to look like in 10 years? We assume that there's going to be some background growth. And by the time we have these things built, we're already at that point in some cases. So the planning board's struggling with the idea of maybe we have to reopen some things. Certainly, you know, with the DEC, when we go talk about wetlands, you come back to it after, I think it's 7 years, maybe 10 years now, but you have to come back at that point in time. We do know that since I was here, we started working here, there was only basically one endangered species. Now I think we're up to about 5 or 6 endangered species within the town. Most of those have never been considered. Certainly, I know, and I don't like the idea, but I know that bald eagles are much more prevalent in town than they have been in the past. So I think that we do have issues with just kicking things down, and I think that the town board did address this, that open-ended is just a horrible situation. I don't know how to do that. I know that at the planning board level, they keep having them submit what you've been doing in the past 6 months or a year, and, oh, we've been working with this, whatever. They can drag that out, and we know they can. How fast they wanna move it is a whole nother ballgame. Now, some of these subdivisions, they're trying to figure out, they're trying to wait to the town board to change, so you give them what they want for sewer plants or water plants. And so it's a matter of them waiting some time to when they wanna spend their money. So we have at least, I can tell you at least 4 subdivisions that are like that, probably in excess of 300, 250 houses. They're out there already. We don't know unfortunately, when we keep on going forward with planning, we don't have those impacts looked at entirely or considered because they haven't been built yet. But all of a sudden, if they all get built at one time and we have another 300 to 400 houses in the town, that's gonna be a huge impact that we can no longer look at. So I do ask for some caution there. Don't just kick it down the road saying, well, when you get we'll start the number only when you get the approval. It used to be with subdivisions, you only had 1 year, and then otherwise you lost it. That did change back in, I believe it was about 2007, 2008, when the economy really tanked, and the state felt they had to give developers some leeway. Now they really have left it to the point where we have some subdivisions sitting out there for 10 years, and that is a problem. That's all I really want to bring up tonight. I still wanted to talk about, I will the next time, my other concern, I still want to go back to the ambulance district and what that whole thing is about and what's included in it and what's not included in it. So I have a whole bunch of questions about it. I still will tell you right up front, I'm all for the ambulance. I just don't know what we're getting for our taxes. And I for some of the information, apparently most of the information is not really there. There is no contract, there was no request for proposals or anything else like that. So it's hard to know what the taxes are covering for. And just a simple thing, and I think Melissa can talk to her husband, I know the fire department. When fire departments go out of the district, the liability, the cost and everything else goes to the other district. So when we have an ambulance corps, I would think that if the ambulance goes out of the district to respond somewhere else, I would think that somebody else should pick up the liability, somebody picks up the workers' compensation. The big thing is workers' compensation. If somebody gets injured out there, workers' compensation has to pick it up. Hopefully it doesn't come back to the taxpayers of Goshen if it's happening in another district. So I think there are some issues or some concerns out there. I hope you can look it up some more and come up with some answers, I hope.
You want to just wait until the next meeting to give us the questions, or you want to send them to us?
I can try to give them some of them. I don't.
Send an email to Mary?
Can you put your questions in writing, this way they have an
I will try to do that, okay?
Yep, great.
And all right, and I'll know what I'll bring up probably next meeting. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Neil.
Thank you.
Any other speakers, takers? All right, have a motion to close the town board meeting.
So moved.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.